Hi guys, welcome to Jamie and the Bird. Today is our first ever episode of What Twitter Said, and today we're talking about school closures.
Aye! Welcome to another episode of Jamie and the Bird. I am the Bird, aka Andy. This is...
I'm Jamie.
Hey! And today we're doing our new little episode of What Twitter Said. Basically, this is a little idea that came through a couple of conversations with friends and things like that. And what better place to find content and idiots than Twitter?
Absolutely. If you're trying to do something that's both kind of interesting but also funny, Twitter is the place to go.
Controversial Twitter is the place.
Idiotic. Yeah, all of it.
Idiotic, argumentative. I mean, everything you need for entertainment. So basically what the concept of this series is that we look at what Twitter said. We look at what the trending hashtags are. And off the basis of that, we look at what people have commented, which will be fantastic. And also we're basically going to discuss it. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about hashtag school closures. Now, Everyone's losing their shit about this at the moment, Jay, aren't they?
Everyone is losing their shit about it. It's a very passionate, hot topic at the minute. And the great thing is, with anything with Twitter, any topic on Twitter, it doesn't, the conversations never just stick to the very fine point that's being discussed. It branches off into Insanityville. So hopefully we got some good stuff. And let's see how this goes. It should be fun.
Yeah, we're just gonna. We found a few tweets out there that we're going to discuss. And when I say we, I've said to Jamie, because he's more of the Twitter user. So I said to Jay, go and find these. Right? I've looked at a couple of them, but then after that, I was like, no. I'm going to leave this. And actually, I'm gonna be seeing them as you see them. So to start things off, basically, what is this all about, Jay?
I think that, look, we all know now that despite certain people being rather blasé about this, it looks like the new variant's kicking the living crap out of London and the southeast at the moment. Because of that, I think we've hit new daily highs in terms of positive test results from COVID. Right. And I think hospitalizations at the highest they've ever been as well, potentially. So because of that, they have said schools look like they are becoming more of a vector for the virus with this new variant. Shut them down. Now, bear in mind, our government tend to run 6 weeks or so behind when they should do something. So the unions are saying, shut it down now. A lot of papers saying, shut it down now. Others are going, you're effing crazy if you shut schools down. Life will collapse. So what are you going to do?
So here, basically, off the back of that, we have people's responses to what the government are doing. What we'd like to bring forward first is the argument. Please tell us who and what the first argument is, or first tweet is.
Sure. So the first one I found was someone who's arguing in favour of schools being shut down. Oh, right. No, I've actually made a mistake here. I actually put the next one. It was for schools shutting down, but actually he's not. So I've made a mistake, but this is freaking brilliant. So this is where the accident of Twitter actually happens. So this guy is called himself Jeremy Hume, and he is fantastic. So he has put here, the new normal in which Boris J dictates how many people you can peacefully interact with is dystopian. Am I the only one who is genuinely more worried about government overreach than COVID-19, which has a 99.5% plus recovery rate? The UK is no longer a free country.
Hang on, let me read this again. So the new normal in which Boris J dictates how many people you can peacefully interact with is dystopian. Am I the only one who is genuinely worried about the government overreach? Then yes.
Mate, let me chip in. Right.
The UK is no longer a free country. Look, Jeremy. I mean, let's look, I mean, it's not really a free country anyway, is it? I mean, there is an illusion of freedom, so I'm not even going to go there, but we used to use religion as a form of control. Now people use capitalism. Now, fair enough, there may be a way of abusing the disease in terms of this control. But I'm sorry, people being next to people increases the rate of transmission.
Oh, you fascist! You fascist! No, don't talk facts, Andy. Here's a scary thing. I know quite a few people through my Facebook friend groups of people that you meet over the years and whatnot. Smart people, switched on people who genuinely think like this. They literally think this is some form of almost not government conspiracy, but the overreach is the purpose behind it all. Honestly,
so by overreach, let me just understand the terminology here. When we're talking about overreach, we're talking in terms of the additional power for the government,
correct,
in terms of controlling people.
Correct.
So look,
there's an element of truth to that potentially.
As I've said before, and my brother seems to think that I need to put on a tin hat and think that 9/11 was done by aliens and stuff. When I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any stretch of the imagination. Just said that I'd rather not take the vaccine. In terms of this, look, it is all a bit weird. Like, the only thing that I can't justify with this, and then the fact that it's been orchestrated, is the fact that it's absolutely ironed out all the economies and killed the finances of each country.
Apart from the East.
Wuhan having the biggest.
Wuhan and New Year's are booming. They're a massive freaking party. We're seeing it. We can't even see our bloody families. Like, all right, cheers, guys. Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah.
Do you know my favourite bit out of this tweet is not actually Jeremy and his hilarious comment, but there's actually someone underneath that's actually replied, and it is DW 07045298. No, recovery rate was 97%. Sorry, he got it wrong by 2.5%. No, I've actually heard that recovery rate was 99.3%, 99.5%. Whatever it is, the recovery rate's massive. I mean, we've had it and have it in our household. I mean, it's basically been a minor cold. But look, let's not spend too long on Jeremy. I don't want to give this guy too much fame. He annoys me.
Yeah, but you know what? There is a point to what he said. Once a government takes power, in terms of extra powers, they very rarely ever give them back.
They won't. And the thing is, look, at the end of the day, it's the same with taxation. Once they put tax up, then the tax is never coming back down again. The only way to get around it is revolution. And
absolutely.
People are too busy being distracted with that kind of stuff. So the next one we're going to go to, Jay, hit me.
So this is a bit of a boring one. But the reason why I included this one is because if this is true, it is a game changer and it does change our response. So this is from a guy called William. And William has put here, children seem to have a greater share of the positive tests in the new variant areas. I think there's graphics, and I think this graphic makes it a bit clearer. So let's break that down. If he's right, and it looks like according to that graphic, he is right, kids are getting this at a higher percentage of the positive test results than the old variant. Now, remember, one of the things that made our response slightly easier to the virus was the fact that we could send kids back to school, was that it's quite difficult for kids to pick it up. If that's changed and they've now become much more of a vector for the virus, that completely changes our response, because then you have to look at closing schools down, or else it will spread like wildfire through people.
Yeah, I think this is kind of shutting the stable door after the horses bolted, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's the thing with this virus, isn't it? Because it goes up and it goes down.
It's about transmission. If
that's the point. That's what's different from last time. The fact that kids are now getting it more often, i.e., there are higher. So it's not just their numbers have gone up; they're a higher proportion of the positive results.
Yes,
So we're agreeing here. So I think why this is important is because our response has to change in light of that. So it is now much more likely that.
But what this guy is talking about here is a greater share of positive results. What I'm talking about is nothing to do with them actually having it inside their body.
Absolutely.
What I'm talking about is having thousands of children walking around school with it on their jackets, on their bags.
Taking it home.
Then taking it home. And then what they do is they'll go in together, they're all in the melting pot, and then the teachers are the only ones wearing bloody masks.
Yeah, correct. So that's the point, isn't it? Whereas before, our response was we could open schools because they weren't transmitters of the virus, from what at least not to the massive extent. That's changed now. So, but this is why this is really important, and it is really worrying, because if that is the case and kids are now picking it up and spreading it more than they did before, we have no choice but to shut down schools more often or potentially keep them closed for a long period of time. The knock-on effect of that, the ramifications of that are huge, not just from an education perspective. You're lucky you can work from home at the minute. right? Your job allows you to work from home. My job allows me to work from home. My wife's job. So if you're a plumber, a bricklayer, or you're working in construction or whatever, or you can't work from home, who the fuck's going to look after the kids? You have.
Well, I mean, that's a whole nother topic in itself. And to be honest, I mean, you can't cover absolutely everyone in the country with this kind of stuff. But the main issue that we've got here is, if, for instance, you have cancelled Christmas and you have shut everything down and you're shutting businesses, livelihoods down, yes, that man that works in construction can't go to work, or that woman that works in something in construction herself cannot go to work all of a sudden. But what about the guy that owns the pub? What about the guy that owns the nightclub? What about the people the small places that rely on local businesses? Like, this is the whole thing here. Like, if you fuck one person, then you're going to fuck someone else. But I understand sending kids back to school. They're like, oh, they need to go back to school for education. But there's other avenues. There's other ways. There is,
but again, it's the childcare element, isn't it? I mean, this is a very unpopular take, but let's face it. School is mainly about education, but there's also the little fact of life that it allows parents to go to work.
Yes,
that's massive.
We've covered William. William is William 603-78254. Actually, a very interesting man, and comes up with some decent facts. And thank you for sharing something that wasn't nonsensical so far. But now we're going to go on to the next tweet.
So we've got one from W Blythe 82. And he's responding to another tweet, but he's put here, Neil, can you advise what happens when both parents work full-time and you close the schools? Us parents won't get paid if we have to stay at home. No one seems to think about that side. So tied in exactly with what we've just said. That's key. That is key. Mate, this is really scary. That's really scary. Because if okay, so example, I know a family of friends of ours. They've got 3 kids. She doesn't work. She looks after the kids because obviously, he goes out to work. He's a sole bread winner. So the thing is, for them, she can take care of the kids. If you've got 2 people that that both work outside of the house, can't work from home, and a single parent can't go to work if school's not. What the fuck are they supposed to do?
Well, I think there's a very simple answer to all of this, and I think they actually did it during the first lockdown, which was anyone that was a key worker or physically couldn't work from home.
Schools stayed open.
Schools opened and they went in. I mean, it's a very simple response to these things. The thing is, what you end up with all of this, and I'm sorry I'm not even sorry for all the teachers that were out there, because the thing that actually pissed me off during the last lockdown is that my stepdaughter was off school and missed out on a huge amount of education during that time. Yet the 6-week holidays kicked in like a couple of months later, and everyone was like, no worries, don't worry about it. And she's got her GCSEs this year. And the thing is with all of this is, look, at the end of the day, the teachers are there, and so I think someone says this in a latter one, teachers are there to teach. That is it, right? If those kids have missed out on schooling, then those teachers have also been off school. And if I'm being brutally honest, the school that she goes to didn't do anywhere near enough for the homeschooling and stuff like that. If it wasn't for us, then she would have had barely anything. But the answer to this, and it's like, Neil, can you advise when both parents work full-time and you close schools, us parents won't get paid if we have to stay home? No one seems to think about that side. Well, yes, they do. And the thing is with that, if they do get closed, what the government should do by default is say, teachers, you're still going in, but you're going to be looking after the nurses and all of those people, the critical the critical workers or whatever, and then anyone who physically can't afford childcare and that they need to go to work and can't work from home.
Yeah, no, mate, it's fair. I think they're going to have to find some balance like that, aren't they? I know plenty of people that have got kids, and lockdown was hell for them, because their kids, their kids go out of their minds. Obviously, they're not getting any stimulation with their friends or anything like that. It's tough.
Oh, it's horrendous. And the thing is with that, it's suddenly like for a single mother or a single parent living at home 24/7 with toddlers and young children, especially if you've got multiple children, like going to school or nursery is massive respite for them.
Yeah, massive. Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. So suddenly when you're at home, and especially there's some people out there that are like running businesses from home, and then they've got 3 kids running about and they're trying to do that, you know, and working from home. And it's incredibly difficult for some people out there. But at the end of the day, times have changed and people need to adapt and the government needs to adapt. Sadly, as has been throughout this bloody pandemic, the government always does everything like I say, shutting the front door after. Oh look, okay, but it's going up. Should we close the schools? Just an absolute plonker, complete twonk.
So let's look at the next one, and this is another against schools closing. This is from Angela Owens. Our children need to be educated. Not all have access to online learning. Education is a way out of poverty for many. If you vote to close schools, you're voting for illiteracy and being a third world country. You are not affected in any way. You have your £82,000 salary. I think she's responding to some MP or something like that. Now, there's Angela does make a couple of very good points, but then she ruins it with the hyperbole.
She starts off so well. If you vote to close schools, you are voting for illiteracy and being a third world country. Do you even know what a fucking third world country is, Angela?
No, she probably doesn't. No,
we would need to go through an apocalypse in order to be a third world country. Just because a few kids are missing a few weeks of school does not mean that, and actually, sorry, a small percentage of the population, so our children need to be educated. Not all have access to online learning. For us to go into being a third world country, how many of these kids do you think don't have access to online learning?
A few, to be fair. In the more impoverished areas, they definitely.
But I mean, as a percentage of the
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
It's got to be minor, isn't it? It's up to under 10%, something like that. I mean, we are hardly.
I think the other side of it, what probably Angela is not referring to there, but is to be considered, is if the schools aren't there to push education on their kids. Right, there are plenty of fucking parents out there that do not give a shit about what their kids.
Yes, and that I understand this, and the thing is, another answer to this is in terms of what the government are doing out there. There needs to be access to every child should have access to learning, so therefore there needs to be some subsidy to put in place for that.
Every child needs to have internet access in order for that to happen.
I mean, it's a necessity these days. It's an absolute necessity.
Well, mate, Jeremy Corbyn said that during the last election, didn't he? Free broadband across the UK. He got laughed. Laughed down the street. Now they're like, maybe we should seriously consider this because a global pandemic has come along.
If you vote schools, you are voting for illiteracy and being a third world country. You are not affected in any way. You have your £82,000 salary. I mean, that is just ridiculous. That is, I can't believe that someone would actually write something so nonsensical. It's almost like she's just like, rant, like on.
Yeah, but Andy, you know I say this all the time, right? The causes of problems are hardly ever simple to begin with. Normally, problems are quite complicated in their cause. The solutions to problem are therefore even less likely to be simple. A lot of people don't think about that though. They look for quick, good guys, bad guys, right and wrong, black and white, etc. That's not how the world works. She's just not seeing it or thinking it through. Plus,
it irritates me.
Oh, yeah, me too. I hate to say it. She is not alone. There are plenty of people in very, very, very privileged positions. She might be in a very unprivileged position, but there are plenty of people in privileged positions that literally think Britain and the West is hell. They think it's hell, and I call these people fucking idiots, to be honest.
Do you know what? I agree with her first point. So children need to be educated and not all have access to online learning. The thing that irritates, and even you're not affected in any way. You have your £82,000 salary. Well, he is affected, but maybe not in the way that you're implying in terms of online learning. The thing that irritates me is her third sentence on there.
Yeah, I know.
That you're voting. If you vote to close schools, you're voting for illiteracy and being a third world country. Well, no, you're not, are you? If you're voting to close schools, what you're actually voting to do is not spread a virus. By default, that has a knock-on effect on the learning abilities or the ability of access to learning to some kids that are out there, which again is unfortunate, but these bottlenecks need to be sorted. Then we've got underneath, we've got Chrissy 6619314. Everyone knows our children need an education. Maybe you ought to consider that they also need that to happen in an environment that enables them to feel safe and achieve their ultimate best. Year 13s are due to sit mock exams and 50,000 cases reported a day. well, sit exams with 50,000 cases of COVID reported per day.
Yeah.
But year 13s are about to sit mock exams with 50,000 cases reported. I don't understand how the 50,000 cases is going to affect you. I mean, if you look at actually an exam setup of all of the setups that you would find in school,
you're far apart. Yeah,
an exam setup.
Yeah, but she's talking about
the safest setup.
She's talking about the learning beforehand. Look, she's got a point. Anyway,
let's move on. Let's go to what other one?
The next one is from a guy called S. Fletcher. I actually cut him off on the screen print, but that's fine. He just says here, close everything down then, as schools are not the only cause. But we can't stop households mixing or ignorant, selfish people not wearing masks in supermarkets. I'm sick of people just blaming the schools. Teenagers will still mix even when schools will close. You know what? He's got a point on a couple of things there.
Close everything down then, as these schools are not the only cause. Yes, correct, but we can't stop households mixing or ignorant, selfish people not wearing masks in supermarkets. Correct. I'm sick of people blaming the schools. Teenagers will mix when schools, even when schools. Yeah, like the last. I'm sick of people just blaming schools. Well, it's not. They're not just blaming schools. I mean, if the government had turned around and said, right, all the shops are open, everything's all sweet, don't worry about it. Everyone go out. But I tell you what, we're just closing schools. Well, that then is when the schools are just getting blamed. What we are saying, or what they are saying here, is that schools are potentially part of the problem. Yeah. So it's not finger pointing. Teenagers will mix even when schools will close. Well, I don't know about you. What was his name?
S. Fletcher, I think it was.
S. Fletcher. Well, no, they won't mix if you bring your kids up, right, and you tell them not to go and mix.
Mate, I'm sorry. I agree in theory. You're right, but there's always going to be.
If you're in tier four, and your kid says, "Can I go out with my mates?" and you don't turn around and say no.
Yeah, but there are plenty of parents that don't give a shit. We know this. There are plenty of them that don't give a shit.
But that's the point. Therefore, teenagers will still even mix when schools will close. Well, they shouldn't. That's the whole point. I mean, this is
absolute thinking, mate. This is the absolutist thinking. He's thinking, unless you stop something entirely, you shouldn't let the other. So there's no point in doing it unless you do it for everybody. I've got mates that think like that as well. And it's
there is a well, in terms of what I think with this, look, there's no point pussyfooting around with these things. You either go into an absolute full lockdown for a couple of months to stop all transmission and completely bring it down, or you let everyone mix. We've spoken about this before. There's no real grey area because all you do is just put on the paint. Yeah, that's and this is what's happening. Is it's we'll do a little bit, and then we'll do another little bit, and it just doesn't really work now. This guy, I get what he's saying there, but let's have it right. In terms of people wearing masks and basically following these rules, as they have done, as I have done, followed all the rules, and then weirdly, all of my family ended up with fucking COVID. All of these rules that are out there, the only place that it really could have come from is a school. So maybe I should actually turn around and go, no, it is the schools. But it could have come from anywhere. I could have gone out and forgot to wash my hands. I could have got some shopping back. It could have been. There's a multitude of places this can come through. Let's look at the people that have replied to S. Fletcher. Mr. Pewsley, not in groups of 1,000 plus, they wouldn't.
Got a point. It's got a point.
I don't understand what he means.
So he's saying, yes, teenagers will still congregate, but there won't be 1,000 of them in the same building. This is what I'm talking about, the absolute thinking. It's like, there's a mate of mine, I won't name him to out of respect, but he's like, there's no point in shutting down pubs if you're not going to shut down supermarkets. He's like, it's all or nothing, right? And he's got a point. But the problem with that is, that takes away the fact that sometimes small steps can have a positive impact. So what we're talking about is reducing different things in different ways at different times.
No, I get. Do you know what it is? Not being a massive Twitter user, the thing that winds me up about these things is people making decent points, but in an idiotic way. And that's really what we've got. No, but they still do in parks and outside of homes. Secondary schools are doing all they can to keep the bubbles separate. They cannot control what happens outside the school gates. I've seen lots of teenagers mixing when walking home. Yeah, I mean, bang on. Like they've got to go to and from school, and you literally see them when you go and pick up my stepdaughter. They come out like cockroaches, mate.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Every everywhere.
Mate,
We're all getting on buses together.
I live probably about 100 metres away from a infants and primary school, or is it just infant? It might just be infant school. And there's signs at the front going, please don't congregate, for safety purposes, keep social distance, all the rest of it. Do the parents pay any attention to that? Do they fuck? They congregate literally like wasps, just hanging around. No chance.
This is the thing now. Like at the end of the day, they put the rules in place for the certain people that will follow the rules. There are, as this guy says, there are always going to be people that basically they flunk the rules and don't give a monkeys about them. But at the end of the day, that is freedom. That is your choice.
That's life.
The rules that they put in place, these aren't. They're saying that they're enforceable rules. Well, they're not physically enforceable because there's not enough police to enforce them. Yeah. That's the whole thing. So it is down to your personal choice.
Right.
But, right. I mean, go on, next one.
Mate, so we're on to the moron takes now. So I've tried to find 2 takes that I think are just completely moronic and quite funny half the time. So this is from, I love this, Ms. underscore JFK followed by a British flag emoji.
I mean, look, just from her title, you already know that.
Right.
She's definitely got a tinfoil out.
Mate, this is superb. And she's put here, right, so you have to, I'll repeat this a couple of times because you need to think it through. Positive tests using a test not fit for purpose, and again, tests do not equal illness, which don't equal hospitalization or deaths. Oh, and please provide scientific evidence of the new variant, please. I'll repeat that again.
Mate, she's frying my brain.
Yeah, positive tests using a test not fit for purpose, and again, tests do not equal illness, which don't equal hospitalization or deaths. Oh, and please provide scientific evidence of the new variant, please. This person's a fucking moron.
Positive.
Yeah, I don't think she's quite realised that those numbers, as they go up, do equal more deaths as the numbers go. How can you not get your head around that very simple fact? Fucking hell.
I'm still trying to work out what, when we're talking about school, so what we're actually talking about here is kids not going to school and becoming more illiterate. So what we're trying to prevent is people like Miss JFK actually existing.
Yeah.
And the worst thing is she hasn't actually got a pandemic to blame for illiteracy. Or nonsensical writing. I mean, what the actual fuck are you? I can't even understand the point that you are trying to make. I'm trying to read this in so many ways. You are an absolute fucktard.
Imagine going.
Please provide scientific evidence of the new variant. Well, they fucking have.
No, Andy. Here's the thing. You have to ask Miss underscore JFK British flag what evidence she would need in order for her to believe it, because if you showed her an image of the strain versus another image of a strain, she'd probably think you were showing her a pot fucking noodle. She can't
even fucking write. There's no point showing her anything.
Look at the genome sequence of a virus.
Can you imagine them giving her the synopsis of the studies that they've done of this bloody this wad of paper just given over to her today? But that's what kind of
or Andy, the genome breakdown of the virus itself with a new variant. She'd be going, is this Tetris? I don't understand.
Mate, you are positive test using test not fit for purpose. So you're basically what you're trying to say. You're getting a positive test from a test that isn't fit for purpose.
Correct.
And again, tests do not equal illness. Okay, because obviously if you test positive, then you're not necessarily ill. You'd be
asymptomatic. Yeah.
But which don't equal hospitalizations or deaths.
But they will when the cases keep going up, and they already have as cases have gone up.
So it's showing that the infection rate going up, and therefore people don't. Look, I get where these people are coming from, because I sit on the other side of the fence with this. There's definitely something dodgy with this, and the way that they handle it, and they're handling it badly. Like, we've had a long enough time to handle this crap now, and it's this.
Yeah, but that's the government.
If anything, we're doing it worse. This is the so we're going to have loads more tests. Once we test and we can track and trace, that then prevents the spread. Well, it doesn't. I mean, the guy that
we never got that right. But we never got that right.
I mean, the guy that I had calling me for the test and trace was.
Yeah. Mate, what do you think? Dido Harding. Sorry, let me go into neutral mode here. Apparently, according to various sources, Dido Harding, who was put in charge of the test and trace system,
is that the one that sang with Eminem?
Yes, had no experience whatsoever in doing anything like this ever before, and yet was handed a massive multi-million-pound contract, up to 12 billion, wasn't it, to sort all this out, and managed to do absolutely fuck all. So maybe questions should be asked of that, Miss Dido Harding.
But then furthermore, you look over into places like, well, obviously Korea, and even I believe in Germany, their track and trace systems were much more advanced. So surely when someone does something well, you go to them and go, oh, excuse me.
How do you do that? Yeah.
How did you do that? Oh, no, actually, fuck what you've done. We're going to create something completely different.
Yeah. Which doesn't work. Which doesn't
anyway, look,
cost the GDP of a small country. Yeah, fair play.
I mean, this is. Did we have any replies? No. Look, do you know? Weirdly enough, no one replied to Miss JFK.
You don't engage a fucking
Union Jack because she isn't a complete and utter fucktard.
Right.
The last. Go on to the next one, Jamie. Which
the last moron take is by Warnsey Hog Help #KBF. I don't know what the hell that stands for, and this is. If teachers are not prepared to work, and I know this does not apply to the majority, then their wages should be reduced to 80%, the same as anyone else who has been furloughed. This is political. Treat virus with HCQ, which is hydroxychloroquine, or ivermectin, problem solved. In other words, what Donald Trump was saying. Oh.
Do you know what? Again, with this, like what Warnsey Hog Help KBF. I mean, if he's out there helping pigs, that big up your chest. In terms of, look, if teachers aren't working, then they should have their wages reduced.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
No, but I agree with that point. In terms of using this bloody HCQ and ivermectin, if there's proof of them working,
this is what Trump said. He sat there and said it's done this, and this, and every study, including Dr. Fauci, Trump's head science guy, went, it does nothing. It does nothing. This is not a good idea. It does nothing. These fucking morons think that the cure is being held back from the world for some nefarious Great Reset reason. Oh, God, my head hurts.
If teachers are not prepared to work, I know this doesn't apply to majority, then their wages should be reduced, the same as anyone else who has been furloughed. 100%. The thing is with this, and that there is no way, no physical way, that when the school closes or schools close, that all of the teachers are working the same hours that they were when they were in school. Yeah. And do you know how I know that? Because in terms of the lessons that my stepdaughter would go through, do you know what they were actually sending her during this whole thing was just emails with stuff for her to revise. They weren't doing online classes.
Online lessons, like that. Right.
Online, you would think, okay, so the natural premise for this is that we go from a classroom setting to an online classroom setting. My son does that. But then with her school, they were just like, oh yeah, just go and watch this. Go and revise that. Watch this video. Go on there and do these videos. So these teachers are just literally sitting at home. In terms of getting her work marked as well, there was nothing, absolutely nothing going on. So this isn't the same for all teachers, I know, but he's bang on it. Like, I mean, if you're sitting at home getting paid a wage, and this is what I was saying, like at school, there is no fucking way in a million years that those teachers should have taken 6 weeks off. You're taking the piss, mate. Like you've literally, like I said, if it wasn't for us actually helping her revise, and the funniest thing about all of this, not so funny for my stepdaughter, is we had her revising a certain book for English. She'd done all of that work and then came back and went, oh, no, we've stopped doing it now.
Yeah. But, mate, look, I think teachers aren't responsible for a lot of this, let's face it. I think like Department of Education, the hires up, whoever runs the whole education sphere, I think the decision-making was done on the fly, and I think it almost had to be. But look, I mean, I think the reason why I picked this guy out, the moron, was just because of that last bit about using hydroxychloroquine and this other thing. I mean, for fuck's sake, do you seriously think that if this stuff worked, the likes of China, all the rest of it would have been using it by now? You can't keep a simple cure like that secret because it would have got out. You fucking moron.
Did you know what? We've got a reply from KTB, and it's #SafeEdForAll. Already sick of all the liars, capital letters, spreading their lies about teachers sit at home doing nothing. Whereas during the last lockdown, my school was open, capital letters. We taught kids at home and in person, organised and delivered food, made well-being checks, and left their own kids at home alone doing it. Well, do you know what, Katie B? I mean, fair play to you. Yeah, because you know what? There are some teachers and some schools out there
that above and beyond. They've gone above and beyond.
Absolutely. I've spoken to some people and they're like, my kid has been flat out with work throughout the whole thing. My comment isn't a lie. It's absolutely spot on about what that school actually did. And I'm not going to name and shame. I wish I could. But it's about a particular school. And I was fuming with it. Like we ended up having to do most of the work from our side. So we basically, I managed to find a little screenshot of a tweet as well. And this, I actually think is probably my favourite out of all of them. And this this comes from Kerry Cooper at Hewitt Whitson 10. Our lovely neighbour died from COVID last night. He was housebound and suffering from early onset dementia. His family brought the school-age kids around before Christmas, and he was rushed in on Xmas night. Kids spread, fact. Underneath, hashtag school closures, hashtag Tory lies, hashtag school, close the schools now. Now, there's a couple of things wrong with this. His family brought school-age kids round before Christmas, and he was rushed in on Christmas night. Kids spread fact. So his family brought kids. Now, let's say that, like, in terms of a normal family, we'd probably say that there were maybe 2 kids, maybe 3 kids that were there, but they would have been brought. His family brought school-age kids. Now, there could have even been more people around there, but let's say that it was just literally like his son or his daughter or something like that came with their other half. So there were 2 adults in there, at least, I would imagine, and at the very least, because kids, at least 2 children. Yeah. So those people coming into that household, it wasn't just the kids that could have it.
How do you know it was the kids? How do you know it was the kids?
Kids spread.
I know. Yeah.
No, what?
Yeah.
You absolute plonker.
This is why critical thinking should be taught in schools. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There is a 50% chance that, based on those numbers, that it was the adults that spread it. Like, just because
No, Andy, didn't you know this particular family? They go around in fucking giant body condoms all day, every day, and they don't touch anything. It's just the kids going to school that do it. That's
literally walking in like it was the adults walking in with hazmat suits, and just the kids walking in going like coughing.
Yeah, where are the kids' hazmat suits? Oh, we couldn't afford those. We just bought them for us.
It's ridiculous. I mean, these people seriously need their bumps felt, and it's so. Like, I don't know how far we are in this. As I'm sitting here scrolling through,
I think we've done enough on this one. So
we've covered a lot.
I'd be curious to see what you guys think about this as well, because some of you are going to have kids, some of you aren't. Where do you fall on this? And also, what impact is this actually going to have on you if they do shut schools? Because I can't imagine it's going to be easy.
What do you think is the right thing to do? How do we sort this out? Everyone's got a different opinion on these things. We can't all be right. No. Boris can always be wrong.
And will be. Yeah.
I mean,
and will be.
But you can't please everyone with this thing. And look, some people, the kids don't go to school and it affects their working. Kids do go to school, then everyone, starts dying. Well, there's and the infection rate goes up. I mean, at the end of the day, if the kids are going to be at home because if you are going to be at home and that means that you can't work and you can't earn money, then the government should be helping you out in some way, either with the childcare at the school or with a subsidy in terms of finance or something like that. Yeah. Outside of that, look, if the infection rate's going up and everything else is fucking closed, then why the fuck wouldn't you close schools? And actually, furthermore, close everything. Close the lot. Close it all down for a month, 2 months, like we did before, and really slow this fucker down. Because I tell you what, it don't seem to be slowing down to me.
No, it's not. No. Well, mate, I don't know if you saw, but I saw this crop up on my phone earlier. I didn't get a chance to really read it, but it said Boris is doing some kind of announcement today to prepare for tougher restrictions. Now, here's the thing: what's tougher, like you said, than what we've got now in Tier 4, other than everything closes, offices close.
And if that was the case, why didn't you do it before?
Like this, Boris. Yeah, I know.
Just pussyfooting around it. Yeah. Anyway, look, guys, this is the new What Twitter Said. This is what Twitter said. There's some classic stuff in there, but let us know your thoughts. What do you think about it? Put the stuff in the comments. Yeah. Remember, if you like watching us, then remember to subscribe. If you can't be bothered to subscribe, something that everyone can do on a video is like it. That alone helps our video and helps the algorithm. So like, subscribe, and click the little bell to give a little notification when our videos come out.
Yeah, and guys, it's really important you do that now because apparently we're on the cusp of becoming a third world country.
Yes,
yeah,
that's it.
Now,
I mean, we're going to be Mad Max soon, so you won't have any YouTube.
We're going to go on the Fury Road soon, yeah.
Other than that, guys, we love you loads. Big up your chest. I've been Andy Bird, and this has been Jamie.
Take care, guys.